Just play the damn thing.
There's a pretty good story behind one of the best guitar tones I have ever heard. I was at a local club one night, hanging out. There happened to be a live band playing, cover band, and that band had two guitar players in it. One guitar player was playing. I don't remember what kind of amp it was. Something modern. He had a whole farm full of pedals on the floor in front of him, and all kinds of high-end expensive guitars that he was switching back and forth between throughout their set. The other guy was somebody I happened to know, and his rig, on the other hand, was I think he was either playing a Les Paul or a PRS, one of the two, or I think he may have had one of each up there. Those are generally his guitars. Plugged straight into a Marshall JCM 800 and a Marshall 1960 412 cab, with that amp dialed like this. And this, by the way, means every knob cranked up to 10. This doesn't mean anything. This every knob turn all the way up. At the end of their set, everybody was going up to him after the show. There happened to be lots of people there that played guitar apparently. Everybody was going up to him after the show, asking him, "How'd you get that? Get that Marshall to sound that good? What are you doing to it? Is it modified? What mods do you have in it? Did you change the speaker? What is going on? How are you doing this?" And he wouldn't give up his secrets to anybody. I was baffled too because again, this was a completely dimed JCM 800. It plugged into a 1960 cab, the guitar plugged straight in, no pedals, no effects, no nothing like that. At least I could see. And the cabinet itself was either the 1960 or the 1960 vintage 30 cabinet. One of the two, doesn't matter. But I think it was just the regular 1960. So finally, I walked up to him, after their set, and I said, "Come on, dude, level with me. How are you pulling this off? What I just heard out of that amplifier was absolutely incredible sounding. How did you make this happen? I gotta know." He looked at me, he smiled, and he started laughing. He says, "The secret's in the bag. Go take a look." So I went. I walked up onto the stage. Went and looked behind his guitar rig. Sure enough, taped up to the back of that 1960 cabinet with gaff tape was one of these in the effects loop, and one of these between the head and the cabinet. This is a 2203 JCM 800 reissue, by the way, because it had an effects loop. But originals don't have effects loop unless they've been modified for one. But that's how he was doing it. He was adding a little bit of chorus in the effects loop, and, for just a little bit of modulation, and he was cranking everything and being able to and getting away with it by attenuating the power with this here Tom Scholz Power Soak. Now, if you're not familiar with the Tom Scholz company, there's the backside if you want to check it out. You see, this is actually, I think there was a couple of versions of this particular unit. This is the later one because it has the solid state / tube switch there on the back. And this is a passive unit, basically, like any attenuator. Basically, what you do is just, you hook this up between your head and your cabinet, crank the head up as much as you want, and then set your attenuation. It absorbs some of the power being sent from the head to the cabinet, and essentially lowering the volume, but theoretically maintaining your guitar tone. And these are actually still pretty popular on the vintage market. They seem to be out there. You can find them. Most of them that I've seen seem to sell between about $250 and $350. I got lucky. Found this one on Guitar Center's used site for a couple hundred, I think $199. I think I paid for it. This company owned, and everything was designed by Tom Scholz. Tom Scholz of Boston fame, by the way. Who was not only a great guitar player and an excellent songwriter, one of the main guys behind Boston and all of their success, but he was also a very, very good electronics engineer and designed a lot of really, really cool equipment like Rockman headphone amps and things like that. Tons of rack gear. However, when the digital age hit in probably the mid '80s or so, some of this analog, all this analog stuff kind of began to fall out of favor. and the company ended up going out of business. I think Dunlop has since bought up the company, bought up the company name, and they do still produce the headphone amps. But I think that's all that is still in production under the old Tom Scholz / Rockman brand name. But I wanted to pick one of these up and see what I can create with it. Unfortunately, I do not own a JCM 800, but I do own a JCM 900 from that era. And it's not quite the same thing. Yes, I know the circuits are different and the whole diode thing, all that stuff. Fine, whatever. But as far as the power amp section goes, this is still a 2 power amp running on EL34s. And tone-wise, anyway, it seems it can get into JCM 800 territory within reason. So I thought it would be fun to do a video where we try to recreate one of the best guitar tones I've ever heard. So I'm going to run that thing in the effects loop, put that between the head and the cabinet, mic it up with a good old-fashioned SM57, turn it all up to 11, and see what happens. Okay, so here is what I've got set up. My good old trusty JCM 900, the Tom Scholz Power Soak, going into set up between the amp's speaker output and the speaker cabinet's speaker input. This is just my standard Marshall 1960 cab loaded with Celestion GT 1275s, 12T75s. Which a lot of people don't like that speaker, but I do. I like it. Mic'd up with an SM57, by the way. Good old-fashioned Shure SM57. That's all that's on it. And, of course, the Boss CE5 Chorus Ensemble going through the effects loop. I'm also running out of the compensated, emulated output on the back, emulated recording output, as it's labeled on the back. That's going straight into my interface. And the direct out is also going straight into my interface as well. That one, I have a IR, 2 notes wall of sound, IR on the back end of it in the DAW, just so we can compare notes here. Now, I've got my action camera here in my hand because I wanted to be able to show you, number one, that, I wanted to be able to show you live and in person and let you hear me hit the record button, so that you can, in fact, get an up close look at where my settings are. And these are my current usual settings for this amp. The only thing I adjusted before turning on the camera was I turned the gain all the way up and turned the reverbs on both channels all the way down. Normally on channel A, channel 1, which is what I'm running on right now, I normally keep the gain dialed back pretty far because I prefer to have it set up as a clean channel because I like to use pedals and I like a clean channel. But for today's purposes, we're trying to get it to sound as close to a JCM 800 as possible. So with its current settings and the attenuation all the way, this is full power, no attenuation at all. Attenuator turned all the way down. In its current settings, it sounds like this. So, not a bad sound if you can get it, right? One reason why I happen to love this amp. So with that said, let's go and do one of these jobbies. I can't believe I'm doing this. Turn that up, turn that up, turn that up, turn that up, turn that up. This is at minus 12 dBs, halfway up. Yeah, the SM57 seems to be handling it okay, but I had to turn the input level way down on the 2 direct outs. minus 19 decibels. $25 decibels. $32 decibels, minus 32 decibels. Halfway spot seems to be the sweet spot. Just for the hell of it, let's put it on channel B so we can hear it. Solid state and digital modelers don't do that, folks. Tube amps.